Oliver Deveau stands on the wet deck. It is December 5th, 1872. The wind bites at his face. The air smells of salt and old wet wood. He is the first mate of the British brigantine Dei Gratia. He has just climbed aboard a ship he found drifting alone in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The sails are torn, the rigging hangs loose. The ship moves blindly through the swells as though drunk. Deveau looks down. Water sloshes across the boards beneath his feet. He cups his hands and calls out. He hears only the wind and the hollow knocking of loose tackle against the mast. He walks toward the stern. He opens the cabin door. He walks forward. He checks the crew quarters. He checks the galley. He checks the hold. He finds no one. Not a single living soul. The Mary Celeste, a vessel carrying 10 human beings, a captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, 7 experienced sailors. Gone, all of them, vanished into the cold Atlantic without a single cry for help. It is the defining maritime anomaly of the 19th century. It matters because 10 people evaporated from a locked wooden box. They left their clothes. They left their food. They left their smoking pipes. The sea does not swallow a crew and leave their unlit tobacco perfectly dry. Something drove them off this ship. Something forced 10 people into a small open boat in the open ocean. We have studied the currents. We have analyzed the logs. We have read the court transcripts. We still do not know what it was. One specific fact remains lodged in the throat of history. One detail resists every explanation ever offered. It sits on the deck, cold and heavy. A piece of iron, a ship's pump, taken apart, piece by piece, and placed carefully on the wood. The sounding rod laid beside it. No theory explains this. None. 10 people left this ship in good order. They cleaned the galley. They stepped into a small open boat. The pump was disassembled. The boots were still beside the bunks. So did they plan to come back, or did they already know they couldn't? We will look at the wood. We will look at the iron. We will trace the steps of the vanished. It is late October 1872, New York Harbor. The air is thick with coal smoke and the smell of rotting fish and river mud. The water between the piers is black and cold. Stevedores move in long chains, passing wooden barrels hand to hand down the dock, their breath fogging in the autumn air. They are loading a small wooden brigantine. She sits low at the pier. She measures 102 feet long. She weighs 282 tons. She was built 11 years ago in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia. Her timbers are white oak. Her history is something else entirely. She was born under a different name, Amazon. Her first captain was a man named Robert McLennan. He walked up the gangplank, a healthy man, the day the ship was registered. He walked back down with pneumonia. He was dead within days of taking command. The second captain ran her into fishing weirs off the coast of Maine. The third drove her hard into a British brig in the Strait of Dover. The brig sank. The Amazon did not. In 1867, a storm drove her ashore on Cape Breton Island. She was listed as a total loss. Her owners abandoned her on the rocks. A salvage captain named Richard Haynes bought the wreck for a fraction of her worth. He hauled her off the rocks. He rebuilt her hull. He gave her new timbers, a new American registry, and a new name, the Mary Celeste. Sailors are a superstitious breed. They know the histories of ships. They pass the stories between ports like contraband. A vessel that killed its first master. A vessel that has sunk another ship. A vessel rebuilt from wreckage. These things follow a hull like a smell you cannot quite locate. They sit in the rigging. They wait. But the man who takes command of the Mary Celeste in 1872 is not a man given to superstition. His name is Benjamin Spooner Briggs. He is 37 years old. He comes from Wareham, Massachusetts, on the south shore of Cape Cod. His family has fished and sailed from these waters for 3 generations. He stands just under 6 feet tall. He has dark hair, and the measured, patient eyes of a man who has spent years watching the horizon for things that will hurt him. He does not drink, he does not gamble. He reads his Bible every morning before the crew wakes. He writes careful, affectionate letters to his mother, back in Massachusetts. Letters full of weather observations and ship's gossip and small domestic details. He has sailed as master on several vessels before this one. He has an unblemished record. He is, by every account, exactly the kind of man you want at the wheel when something goes wrong. Before this video ends, we will encounter a piece of evidence that every official inquiry examined directly and failed to explain. Briggs is also a part owner of the Mary Celeste. He bought his share with money he earned. He trusts the rebuilt timbers. He takes command with the particular, calm confidence of a man who has never had cause to doubt his own judgment. He is not sailing alone. He brings his wife. Her name is Sarah Elizabeth Cobb Briggs. She is 30 years old. She grew up in Marion, Massachusetts, the daughter of a Congregationalist minister. She is educated and musical. She packs a small parlor melodeon, a keyboard instrument the size of a suitcase. She hauls it aboard the ship in the October cold. She packs her sewing kit. She packs thick wool blankets for the November crossing. She writes her own letters home. In her final letter, addressed to her mother-in-law from the New York docks, she describes the harbor. She says the ship looks good. She says she looks forward to the passage. She sounds calm. She sounds entirely unafraid. She brings their daughter, Sophia Matilda Briggs, 2 years old. Her tiny boots are in the cabin locker. Her toys are on the shelf in the captain's quarters. She is the youngest person aboard by many years. She is the smallest person the Atlantic will consume. The crew is small, 7 men. Albert Richardson is the first mate. He is 28 years old and American. He has sailed with Briggs before. They trust each other the way men trust each other after surviving bad weather together. Andrew Gilling is the second mate. He is 25 and Danish. Edward Head is the cook and steward. He is 23, recently married, sailing on what was supposed to be a short and profitable Atlantic run. The 4 remaining sailors are German: Volkert Lorentzen, Arian Martens, Boy Lorentzen, Gottlieb Gondeshaw. Professional men, experienced men. There are no records of dispute before departure, no unpaid wages, no complaints filed, no known tensions between the American officers and the German crew. The cargo is where the story begins to bend. It is not lumber, it is not coal. It is 1,701 wooden barrels of commercial alcohol, pure, volatile, denatured, toxic if consumed, and flammable if exposed to a spark. The barrels are made from red oak. Red oak is porous. They are rolled into the hold and stacked tight against the ship's frames. The cargo is worth approximately $36,000. It belongs to a German firm named Meissner, Ackermann and Company. It is bound for Genoa, Italy, where it will be used to fortify wine. The hold is closed. The hatch is secured. The ship is provisioned for 6 months. Barrels of salt beef, barrels of flour, potatoes, hardtack, dried beans, fresh water, more than enough. Benjamin Briggs writes his final letter to his mother. He tells her the ship is in beautiful trim. He adds the weather looks favorable. He hopes for a smooth and quick passage. He folds the paper. He seals the envelope. He hands it to a man on the dock. The ropes are cast off. The canvas catches the October wind. The Mary Celeste pulls away from the pier. It is November 7th, 1872. The skyline of New York recedes behind them. The harbor opens into the bay. The bay opens into the ocean. The ocean is vast. It is grey. It does not care who Benjamin Briggs is. It does not care who is aboard. It opens around the ship like a hand unclenching, and they sail into it. The last lighthouse drops behind them. The last shore disappears. They sail directly into the silence that will consume all of them. The first 2 weeks are hard. The Atlantic in November is not a road. It is a machine. Cold, wet, indifferent. Winds strip the heat from every surface of the ship. Rain lashes the canvas and runs through every gap in the rigging. The hull pitches into the troughs and labors up the crests and pitches again. The bilge fills with seawater. The cargo shifts in the hold. The timbers creak in the dark. But Benjamin Briggs has sailed in worse. His hand on the wheel is steady. His logbook entries are calm and brief. Coordinates, wind direction, sail configuration. Nothing unusual, nothing broken. The days pass. November 24th. The weather shifts hard. A serious storm rolls in from the northwest. The wind jumps to gale force. The sea builds into breaking swells. The crew goes to battle stations in the dark and the driving rain. They fight the rigging. They fight the wheel. They reef the sails before the canvas blows out entirely. They work through the night, cold and soaked through to the bone. By morning, the worst has passed. The sky lightens. The wind drops. The crew is exhausted. The ship is intact. They have done their job. They have kept the ship alive through the night. November 25th, 8 o'clock in the morning. The sea is still choppy. Scattered cloud. The air smells of rain and cold salt. Somewhere on the eastern horizon land, the island of Santa Maria, the southernmost of the Azores, a low, dark volcanic shape against the grey sky. They are on course. They are making good time. First mate receptions and takes a position fix. He picks up the navigation slate from the binnacle. He writes down the date. He writes down the time. He writes down the coordinates. 43 degrees north, 25 degrees west. He sets the slate back in its place. He goes below. That is the last confirmed act of any person aboard the Mary Celeste. The logbook has one final entry, dated November 24th. It records the rough weather. It notes their progress. It records nothing unusual. No alarm, no emergency, no note of any trouble. It is an ordinary entry in an ordinary logbook, and then the log simply stops. No final entry from the captain, no message, no signal. The record ends like a sentence with no period, and the ocean provides nothing to follow it. 10 days pass. The Mary Celeste sails on alone, rudder untied, sails damaged and wrongly set, drifting northeast on the prevailing wind. December 5th, 600 miles east of where the log went silent. The British brigantine Dei Gratia is working her way toward Gibraltar. Her captain is David Reed Morehouse. He is 40 years old. He is Canadian from Maitland, Nova Scotia. He knows Benjamin Briggs. They dined together at the Astor House Hotel in New York in late October. Before their separate departures, they ate a meal. They talked about the sea. They raised a glass of water together. Neither man drank. Morehouse watches the horizon as his ship moves through the light chop of the afternoon. He sees a sail 5 miles off. Something about it is wrong. The vessel yaws in the wind. Her course is erratic. Some of her sails hang loose. Some are furled unevenly. One is blown to rags. She is moving like a drunk, swinging first one way and then another, with no hand on the wheel to correct her. Morehouse watches through his glass for a long moment. Then he orders a course change. His second mate, John Wright, is the first to read the name on the hull. Mary Celeste. Morehouse stares at the ship. He knows this vessel. He knows who commands her. He knows where she is supposed to be. She should be in Genoa by now. She is not in Genoa. She is here, wallowing in the open Atlantic with no one at the wheel. He flies his signal flags. He waits. He tries again. Nothing comes back. The Mary Celeste drifts past in silence. Morehouse calls his first mate, Oliver Deveau. He orders him to take a small boat and board her. Deveau is 35 years old. He is methodical. He does not rattle easily. He selects one man, Seaman John Wright, to go with him. They lower a rowboat over the side. They take the oars. The water is cold and dark. The swells lift them and drop them. They reach the hull. They grab the ladder. they pull themselves over the rail. They stand on the deck, they listen. The wind howls in the rigging. Loose block tackle bangs rhythmically against the lower mast. Ropes trail in the water behind the ship. The deck is slick with spray. There is no other sound, not a footstep, not a voice, not a breath. Deveau and Wright stand very still. They understand, without speaking it aloud, that something has gone catastrophically wrong. Deveau moves to the wheel. It is spinning freely, not lashed. He moves to the binnacle. The wooden housing for the ship's compass has been knocked out of position. The glass cover is shattered. The compass inside is damaged and misaligned. He looks to the davits, the iron arms over the side that hold the ship's lifeboat. The ropes hang empty. The yawl boat is gone. He looks behind the ship at the trailing water. There is no tow line. There is no boat following. The yawl is simply absent. Not swamped, not sunk alongside the hull, but gone in the specific, deliberate way that things go when people take them. Deveau walks to the main hatch. It is secured. He walks to the forward lazarette. It is open. He looks down. Dark water sloshes over the top of the cargo in the hold. He measures it with the sounding rod. 3.5 feet. He looks at the barrels. Still stacked, still intact. The ship is taking water, but she is not sinking. She floats high and safe. The hold is 10 feet deep. The ship has lost 3.5 feet of its margin. It has 6.5 feet left. He walks to the pumps. There are two. The first is intact and operational. The second is not. It has been disassembled. The iron casing has been removed and set aside. The pump rod, the cylinder, the valves, laid out in sequence on the deck as though in the middle of a repair job. The sounding rod lies beside the parts, as if the mechanic stood up and walked away and has not yet come back. Deveau moves aft to the captain's quarters. He opens the door. The cabin is damp. It is dim. It is tidy. The bed is made. The child's toys are arranged on the shelf. The sewing machine is stowed against the bulkhead. The small melodeon is lashed to the wall. The ship's papers are there, the registry, the logbook, the cargo manifest, but the navigational instruments are missing. The marine chronometer is gone. The sextant is gone. The ship's navigation book is gone. Whoever left this vessel left with the tools you need to find land. He opens the crew quarters. The bunks are empty. The sea chests are still there. The sailors' heavy weather boots are still placed beside the bunks, set there as men set them when they expect to put them back on in the morning. The razors are on the small shelves next to the shaving mugs. He sees the tobacco pouches. He sees the smoking pipes, filled and ready, resting in their places on the shelf, as though their owners stepped out for a moment and will be back directly. No 19th century sailor abandons his ship without his pipe. It does not happen. It is as close to an absolute rule as the sea provides. Deveau walks to the galley. He checks the pots, he checks the stores. 6 months of provisions. Flour, salt beef, dried beans, potatoes, hardtack, all untouched. There is no half-eaten breakfast on the table. There is no warm tea in a mug. That detail, the interrupted meal and the steaming cup, is fiction. It was invented by a novelist a decade after these events, and the public mistook it for fact. What Deveau actually finds is more unsettling than an interrupted breakfast. He finds a galley that has been cleaned. The pots are washed, the pans are stowed, the fire is cold. Someone cleaned the kitchen before they left. Deveau stands in the narrow corridor below decks. He has been through the entire ship, from bow to stern, from keel to the lowest spar. He has found no blood, no signs of struggle, no broken furniture, no weapons drawn, no bodies, no wounded, no note. He has found a ship that was not attacked, a ship that was not abandoned in panic, a ship from which 10 people simply departed. They took the navigation tools. They left the food. They took the chronometer. They left the tobacco. They cleaned the galley and folded their clothes and left their boots beside the bunks and stepped into a small open boat and rowed away from safety into the open ocean. They did not come back. The human mind hates a vacuum. It demands a story. When the facts provide no story, the mind manufactures suspects. We will act as the detective. We will lay out the theories. We will test each one against the physical evidence. We will be precise about what fits and honest about what does not. Suspect 1. Piracy. North African corsairs operated in the Atlantic shipping lanes in earlier decades. The theory goes like this. A pirate vessel intercepts the Mary Celeste. They board her under darkness. They force the crew at gunpoint into the sea. They sail away with their prize. Look at the evidence. Look at the hold. 1,700 barrels of commercial alcohol worth $36,000. Look at the captain's cabin. The valuables are there. The cash box is undisturbed. The chronometer is gone, but only because Briggs himself took it. Pirates steal. They do not leave holds full of expensive cargo to rot. They do not carefully fold the crew's clothing. They do not clean the galley. The piracy theory requires us to believe that men motivated entirely by profit boarded this ship and left everything of value behind. Discard it. Suspect 2. Insurance fraud. James Winchester is a major co-owner of the Mary Celeste. He holds the primary insurance policy. The theory is that he conspired with Briggs to stage a disappearance and collect the payout. Look at the financial records. Winchester did not profit. The salvage award was modest. The cargo belonged to a German firm, not to Winchester or Briggs. The policy value was a fraction of what would make the scheme worthwhile. Winchester spent his own money fighting the Gibraltar proceedings. He fought desperately to recover his vessel, and Benjamin Briggs owned his own share of the ship. He invested his own earnings. Most importantly, his wife was aboard. His 2-year-old daughter was aboard. A man who stages a disappearance for a modest financial gain does not put his child in the lifeboat. Sophia Matilda Briggs was 2 years old. She was in that yawl. The fraud theory collapses under its own arithmetic. Discard it. Suspect 3. Mutiny. The 4 German sailors resent their American officers. Resentment builds in the confined space of a ship at sea. They overpower Briggs and Richardson. They murder the captain, his wife, his daughter. They throw the bodies overboard. They take the yawl and try to reach the Azores. Look at what this theory actually requires. A violent murder of 3 people, including a small child, in the confined space below decks. And then nothing. No blood, no broken furniture, no overturned gear, no cuts in the wood, no scorch marks from a weapon. The sword in the captain's cabin was examined under laboratory conditions. The stains on the blade were rust, iron oxide, common contamination. The stains on the deck were tested. Rust and seawater residue. The Naval Surveyor's report found nothing consistent with violence. Mutineers do not clean up after themselves. Mutineers do not carefully disassemble a pump and lay the parts in sequence on the deck. The mutiny theory requires a murder without a crime scene. Discard it. Suspect 4. The rescuers. David Morehouse and the Dei Gratia crew. He sees an opportunity. He boards the Mary Celeste. His men murdered the Briggs family. They dumped the bodies. They sailed to Gibraltar and claimed the salvage. Look at the timeline. The Mary Celeste left New York on November 7th. The Dei Gratia left 8 days later on November 15th. An ocean-going brigantine cannot close an 8-day head start in the open Atlantic. The mathematics of sail do not permit it. Morehouse had no meaningful motive. His share of the salvage was modest. He was subjected to hostile interrogation by the Gibraltar court for months. They found nothing, not a fragment of physical evidence, not a single witness. The theory against Morehouse is born of cynicism, the human habit of finding the nearest person with opportunity and deciding they must be guilty. Morehouse spent years under that shadow. He did not deserve it. Discard it. Suspect 5, weather, a waterspout. A violent, localized sea tornado strikes the ship during the rough weather of late November. It shreds the rigging. It forces water down through the open hatches. The hold floods. The crew panics. Briggs orders everyone into the yawl. They tie a long rope to the stern and ride at a safe distance while the ship stabilizes. Then the rope breaks. The wind catches the damaged sails. The Mary Celeste runs northeast. The yawl is left behind. Look at the physical evidence. The weather damage is real. The sails were torn. The rigging was in poor condition. The forward hatch showed damage consistent with impact. Waterspouts occur in the Azores corridor in November. The meteorological conditions are consistent with this theory, but it does not fit the captain. Benjamin Briggs has 3.5 feet of water in a hold that is 10 feet deep. His ship is floating high and sound. He is not sinking. A man of Briggs's experience knows the difference between a damaged ship and a doomed one. He would man the pumps. He would send men below to assess the cargo. He would watch the barometer and let the weather tell him what to do next. He would not order his wife and his 2-year-old child into an open boat in the North Atlantic because there was water in the bilges and some torn canvas overhead. The waterspout theory explains the ship's condition. It cannot explain the human decision. Discard it. Suspect 6. The cargo. This is the theory that survives. 1,701 barrels of denatured commercial alcohol. 9 of them made from red oak. Red oak is porous. The alcohol seeps through the grain of the wood. Invisible fumes, odorless, colorless, accumulate in the sealed dark of the hold over days at sea. The Mary Celeste enters the warmer water near the Azores. The temperature in the hold climbs. The trap vapor expands. And then something happens. Not an explosion in the conventional sense, not a fire, but a sudden violent pressure event. A hatch blows open. A column of hot invisible gas erupts up through the deck. No flames. No scorch marks. No lasting damage to the wood. Just a single moment of terrifying evidence that the hold is on the edge of catastrophe. Briggs makes the call in that moment. He orders everyone into the yawl. He takes Sarah. He takes Sophia. He takes the navigation tools because a careful captain always does. He orders a long rope tied from the yawl to the stern cleat of the Mary Celeste. They will ride behind the ship at a safe distance. They will watch. If the fumes clear and the ship stabilizes, they will haul themselves back aboard. This is not panic. This is the seamanship of a careful, experienced, religious man making a rational decision with imperfect information. The timeline reframes everything we were told about the Amazon and her dark history. She was not a cursed ship. She was a rebuilt ship with porous barrels in her hold and an unlucky sequence of prior owners. This is the theory most serious historians now accept. It fits Briggs's character. It fits the decision to take the navigation tools and leave the food. It fits the missing yawl. It fits the secured main hatch. It is the most rational interpretation of the available evidence. And then the rope broke, and the wind caught the sails, and the Mary Celeste ran northeast, and the yawl, with 10 people in it, was left behind in the cold grey ocean. But the fumes theory does not explain the pump. Look at it again. A heavy iron mechanism, disassembled, laid out in sequence on the deck. Parts in order, the sounding rod beside it. This is not the behavior of a man who received a sudden terrifying shock and immediately ordered evacuation. You do not disassemble a pump in the middle of an emergency. You disassemble a pump when it is clogged, when you need to clear it in order to drain the hold, when you are working methodically to address a problem before it becomes a crisis. The disassembled pump tells us that Briggs already knew about the water level in the hold before the pressure event. He was already working to fix it. He was already calm enough to perform a deliberate, time-consuming mechanical repair, and then something else happened. Something above decks, something urgent enough to stop the repair mid-task and shift the response entirely. The fumes theory requires the panic to come before the careful mechanical work. The pump says the calm came first. The pump reverses the sequence. The pump breaks the narrative. It sits there on the deck, cold and heavy, 150 years of scrutiny, still waiting. The news reaches the mainland by telegram. A ghost ship found adrift in the Atlantic. The Mary Celeste, 10 souls aboard, all missing. The families in Massachusetts and New York read the names in the newspapers. They fold the paper in their laps. They wait for the second telegram, the one that says, a coastal freighter picked them up off the Azores. The one that says they made landfall in the Canary Islands. They wait. The days become weeks. The weeks become months. Nothing comes. David Morehouse returns to his life. He carries the weight of the silent ship for years. He has saved his friend's vessel and delivered it to port. He has not saved his friend. The Gibraltar court treated him like a suspect. The newspapers treated him like a legend. He received neither the condemnation nor the reward he might have expected. He received a modest check and a lifetime of questions. He never stopped seeing the empty wheel. He never stopped seeing the rope ends hanging from the empty davits. The families of the crew hire agents. They petition consulates in Gibraltar, in the Azores, in the Canary Islands, in Morocco. They ask naval vessels working the Atlantic to watch the coasts for any trace. They ask harbour masters in Spain and Portugal to check their records for strangers arriving in small open boats in the winter of '72. They check the fishing villages on Santa Maria. They check the beaches on Fayal and Terceira. The answer from every port is always the same. Nothing. No splinter of wood from the yawl. No shred of canvas. No instrument washed up on a beach. No body ever recovered from the Atlantic. 10 human beings, erased from the physical record of the world. The story infects the culture. It becomes a puzzle that generations of researchers throw themselves against and break on. They dig through the maritime archives in London. They pull the original handwritten transcripts from the Gibraltar hearing. They study the weather logs of other vessels that were in the Azores corridor in late November and early December of 1872. They build drift models. They map the likely trajectory of a small open yawl from the point where the log went silent. The calculation is maddening. The ocean is too large. The variables are too many. The mathematics produce a search area the size of a small country. Modern scientists enter the search with better tools. They run computer simulations of the cargo hold. They build scale models. They fill them with denatured ethanol in porous red oak barrels. They measure the rate of vapor accumulation at different temperatures. They replicate the conditions of the Azores in late November. They find that a low-pressure displacement event is theoretically possible without producing scorch marks or flame. They publish. They announce the case is essentially solved. They schedule press conferences. Then a marine historian reads the paper and points to the secured main hatch. If the hold vented with enough force to alarm the captain, why was the main hatch still battened down when Deveau arrived? If Briggs was frightened enough to put his family in the lifeboat, why is the Melodian still lashed to the cabin wall? Why did no one grab the baby's boots? The scientists respond. The historians respond in turn. The debate continues. The case remains open. In 2001, a television production company organizes an expedition to Haiti. The Mary Celeste was wrecked there in 1885, deliberately driven onto a reef by a later captain named Gilman Parker. A separate, unrelated insurance fraud scheme that had nothing to do with the original disappearance. The expedition locates what they believe are the ship's remains in shallow water. They pull timber samples. They recover copper hull sheathing. They announce to the world that they have found the ghost ship. Then the carbon dating comes back. The timber samples are the wrong age by several decades. The wreck is not the Mary Celeste. The ocean keeps her bones. The search goes back to paper. The most disturbing piece of evidence in this entire case is not the missing lifeboat. It is the boots. The sailors' heavy weather boots were still beside the bunks. All of them, in their pairs. Set there as men set them when they expect to put them back on in the morning. A sailor who abandons his ship permanently grabs his boots first. Always. They are the most valuable thing he owns at sea. The difference between surviving and dying on a cold coast. The boots were still there, placed carefully, waiting. This was not an abandonment by men who knew they were going for good. This was a temporary departure by people who believed they were coming back. They did not come back. The Mary Celeste arrives in Gibraltar Harbour under the control of the Dei Gratia's prize crew. December 13th, 1872. The Admiralty Court convenes the salvage hearing. This is where reason is supposed to impose itself on chaos. This is where trained legal minds sift the evidence and the law produces truth. What actually happens is something more instructive and more disturbing. The man appointed to lead the investigation is Frederick Solly Flood. He is the Attorney General of Gibraltar and the Queen's Advocate. He is 63 years old. He has held his post for nearly 2 decades. He is, by his own estimation, a thorough and penetrating legal mind. He looks at the Mary Celeste, and he does not see a tragedy. He sees a crime. An unexplained abandonment is legally awkward. A mutiny with a bloody outcome is clean. It has villains. It has a prosecution. It has a career-defining resolution attached to it. Flood wants a murder. He decides, before the investigation is complete, that he has found one. He boards the ship. He inspects every surface. He brings a local doctor to assist him. He finds dark stains on the deck. He finds a sword in the captain's cabin. He finds marks on the bow. He declares, in his official report to the Board of Trade, that he has found evidence of violent crime. The stains are blood. The marks on the bow are axe cuts, deliberate damage inflicted to fake a collision. His theory is explicit. The crew of the Mary Celeste murdered the Briggs family, damaged the hull to stage the abandonment, and fled. He sends the report to London. He announces that the question of the Mary Celeste is solved. He is wrong in every particular. A scientific analysis of the sword stains finds no blood. It finds rust, iron oxide, common contamination on any ship that's been to sea. The deck stains are similarly tested, rust and seawater residue, unremarkable. A naval surveyor examines the bow marks with professional care and produces a written report. His conclusion is unambiguous. The marks are not axe cuts. They are natural stress fractures in the wood, caused by the action of the sea and the ordinary aging of a rebuilt hull. Splinters of wood parting under pressure, found on ships everywhere. Flood receives both reports. He reads them. He files them. He continues to advance his murder theory to London. He is a powerful man in a small jurisdiction. He is used to being believed. He delays the salvage award to the Dei Gratia crew for months. He treats Oliver Deveau and David Morehouse like suspects. He writes long letters to the Board of Trade, insisting on a guilt the evidence will not support. He persists until London loses patience and closes the case without giving him the prosecution he wanted. The Dei Gratia crew receives their salvage award in 1873, £1,700. A fifth of the standard full salvage payment. The court's mistrust of the rescuers, Magshaw entirely from Flood's innuendo and his misread stains, costs these men money they had legitimately earned by saving a vessel worth many times more. The question no government has ever answered is not who murdered the crew of the Mary Celeste. No one was murdered. The question is why a calm, methodical, devout captain, a man who wrote home about beautiful trim and folded his letters with care, chose to leave a functioning ship and never came back. Flood spent his career trying to answer a different question. He never stopped to ask the real one. He closed the file, he stamped it, he filed the anomaly with it, the clean galley, the untouched pipes, the boots beside the bunks, the disassembled pump, all of it filed under a closed case, all of it left to wait. Before you move on, a word on sources. In January 1884, the Cornhill magazine published a short story. It was submitted anonymously. The author was a 24-year-old doctor working in Southsea, England. His name was Arthur Conan Doyle. He had not yet written a word about Sherlock Holmes. The story was called J. Habakkuk Jepson's Statement. It took the real Mary Celeste, misspelling it as Marie Celeste in the process. A spelling error that persisted in popular usage for decades, and transformed it into a tale of racial hatred and supernatural revenge. Conan Doyle invented the warm tea. He invented the half-eaten breakfast. He invented the image of domestic life interrupted mid-moment, a meal abandoned mid-bite, a cup still steaming. None of this appeared in any official record. None of it was reported by Oliver Deveau. None of it existed in the Gibraltar transcripts. Conan Doyle invented it because it made a better story. The public read it as fact. The story was reprinted across the globe. The false details were absorbed into the popular understanding of the case. For a century, writers repeated the warm tea. Researchers built theories around the interrupted breakfast. The fictional image became more famous than the documented reality. This is the mechanism by which a single work of fiction can contaminate a historical record for generations. If you want to go to the primary material, two sources are essential. First, the original Admiralty Court transcripts from the Gibraltar salvage hearing of 1872 and 1873, available through the National Archives in London. Second, Brian Hicks's Ghost Ship, published in 2004. It is the most thorough modern reconstruction of the documented record and the most reliable guide to separating evidence from invention. There is genuine scholarly disagreement on one point. Some marine chemists argue that porous red oak barrels of denatured ethanol could produce a low-pressure displacement event without leaving scorch marks or flame. Others argue the physical evidence for this is too thin to support the weight of the theory. Both positions are held by credible researchers. That disagreement is not resolved. It may never be resolved. We have stripped away the pirates. We have stripped away the mutiny. We have stripped away Conan Doyle's warm tea. What remains is a ship in good order, a heavy iron pump taken apart and left on the deck, and the question no researcher has ever satisfactorily answered. Oliver Deveau stands on the wet deck. It is December 5th, 1872. The wind bites at his face. The air smells of salt and old wet wood. He has been through the whole ship now. He has checked every cabin. He has opened every hatch. He has measured the water in the hold. He understands what he is looking at, and he cannot explain it. He looks at the empty davits. He looks at the spinning wheel. He looks at the shattered compass glass. He looks at the tobacco pipes resting on the shelf, filled and ready, as though their owners stepped out for a moment and will be back directly. He looks at the iron pump taken apart, laid out piece by piece on the wooden deck, the repair unfinished, the mechanic gone without completing it. He does not know what brought 10 people to this point. He knows they took the navigation tools. He knows they left the food. He knows they took the chronometer. He knows they left the boots. He knows the weather was rough. He knows the fumes could have alarmed even a steady captain. He knows a rope can break. He knows all the things that might have happened. He does not know which one did. The ocean rolls beneath the hull. It is vast. It is grey. It remembers nothing. It does not remember Benjamin Briggs. It does not remember Sarah, or the sound of the small melodian she hauled aboard in the October cold. It does not remember 2-year-old Sophia, whose boots are still in the locker. The ocean only keeps what sinks. We have looked at the wood. We have looked at the iron. We have read the transcripts and tested the cargo and mapped the currents and dated the timbers. We have reached the edge of the record. The file exists. The logs exist. The pump sits on the deck. The ship survived. The toys remained in the cabin. The boots remained beside the bunks. The pipes remained on the shelf. The pump was disassembled. The galley was clean. The boots were beside the bunks. So did they plan to come back? Or did they already know they couldn't?